Hi, my name is Lee Caswell. I'm here, the VP of Marketing for the VMware HCI BU, and we're thrilled today to have Colin Gallagher of Hitachi Vantara to come and talk about how we're working together to make hyperconverged infrastructure, HCI, work for you, our customers and partners.
Thanks, Lee. I'm Colin Gallagher. I'm VP of Marketing for Infrastructure Solutions at Hitachi Vantara, and really excited to talk to you about some interesting things that we're seeing in the HCI market.
You know, we've had a long-standing partnership right together, and some of the work that we've done together, starting really with vSAN on ready nodes, for example, was about joint certification, right? And customers love that, right? About the joint promise we have for together. How would you describe our partnership today?
I think we have a pretty comprehensive partnership. As you said, we started out with vSAN ready nodes, but we actually do sort of an integrated appliance, leveraging some of our software for lifecycle management. And we've recently started doing VMware Cloud Foundation as well. So customers get a choice no matter what they're looking to do. Whether they're looking to do something where they build their own, they're looking for something for a little more turnkey, or they're looking for full stack automation.
Yeah, this unified compute platform, right? You were really early on this stage, right? I think about bringing the integrated value together and really helping customers with the day zero experience, day two experience. And you've got some,
yes.
Yeah, right. And you've got even more value right around this as well with some of the software you've brought to. You want to describe some of that?
Yeah, I mean, vSAN is a great product. It's the leading HCI powered software. I think that's how you talk about it, or software defined storage, whatever you want. But there are ways which you can add additional value to it, and it's really about how do you manage the entire life cycle, the life cycle at scale, and how do you manage that life cycle while interoperating with the other equipment in your data center? Because as much as you would love it, Lee, customers have other things besides vSAN in their data center.
Funny, we think every once in a while we think about the hardware piece of this as well, right? So,
but what we've done with HCP Advisor is build that turnkey lifecycle management, not just for the HCI solution, but for our converged solution as well as our traditional infrastructure. So we can give you a single pane of glass that allows you to manage all three of those as you have those in your environment.
It's certainly one of the advantages we're seeing, right, is the ability to look at these kind of complex interactions, right, between compute, storage, networking, right, and be able to integrate that, right, is helping customers both deploy applications faster and then also debug them more quickly, right? So, performance issues in the past, for example, you had to go and find the storage guy and the network guy and the apps guy, right, figure out what had changed. So I think that's a really interesting opportunity for us. How are you seeing HCI being deployed across the customer base right now? What does the adoption pattern look like for you?
I think, as you mentioned earlier, the adoption pattern was originally sort of standalone ready nodes and then some single appliances. But we're seeing more and more large-scale deployments. A couple years ago, customers were buying 2, 3, 4 nodes. And now we're seeing them buy 30, 40 nodes for large-scale deployments. HCI has sort of gone from something that they were looking as a test and dev environment or a specific use case here or there to something in which they're deploying across their entire infrastructure for tier 1 workloads, for a wide variety of things. It's not just for VDI anymore.
It's actually very similar to how vSphere was adopted, if you look at that inside the data center, right? We're initially outside the data center proper, probably, but as we watched customers get familiar with the management model, so then they got really familiar and started deploying even for the highest performance databases. And we're certified together on SAP HANA, for example, and now we've got customers moving really into core infrastructure, enterprise resilient infrastructure, right? That's really part of our joint customer base. Huge success there.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you. I think I was actually saying this to someone recently this week. They're asking me about what are customers asking you about HCI, and I said, really, they aren't asking questions anymore. 2, 3 years ago, it was, what is HCI?
Right.
A year and a half ago to 2 years ago, it was, why do I need it?
Yeah.
And now it's much more tactical about, how much is it going to cost? How do I implement it? What are the things I need to know? So they've sort of they've crossed that chasm, and they're really looking at how do they implement it? How do they deal with it for, as you said, a wide variety of production use cases.
Yeah, I'm watching customers that cluster size, as you mentioned, is expanding, right? The applications, right, are moving up as we mentioned, into mission critical databases, right? And also to the extent that most of these systems are all flash, what I'm finding at least is that this is ideal for customers who can't or don't want to plan. Right? I mean, the idea that, and increasingly customers are looking and saying, hey, if I want to move at the pace of digital business, I can't plan that, granularly. And so it really is an escape valve that allows customers to do more projects, which I'm finding is the norm now, right? With the same or even fewer people.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a customer say this to me a little bit ago. They said, I used to buy things and plan 5 years in advance. And that's how I would amortize the cost of my storage. I'd figure out what I would need between now and 5 years from now.
Right.
And they said, I don't even know what I need 2 years from now. I don't even know at the end of the year. So I'm looking at HCI because I want something I can deploy now, and if I need to add capacity, I can do that quickly. And if I don't, I haven't spent and wasted money on it.
Right. No, I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, how people are becoming less patient. And, for anyone who has kids now, right? I mean, kids are less patient than we are, right? And so you start thinking about just the pace at which the cloud model, the cloud operating model, right? This is the new norm. And one of the things that I find, right, is as soon as you can do something fast, it's hard to go back. Yeah. Right? As soon as you had like a fast traffic light, you never go to the slow one anymore, right? That becomes the new norm.
You set a whole new expectation level for service.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of what this operational model allows us to do. And from our standpoint, we're also providing this investment protection into the hybrid cloud. Right, the idea that you can go now and span across a hybrid cloud, and that gives investment protection, right, for customers who want to have expansion capabilities into the hybrid cloud.
Yeah, and I think the hybrid cloud is also sort of that escape valve. Again, customers are looking at it. Some early customers are adopting it, but they really want to know they have that route and that option where they choose to be on that journey today, tomorrow, or in a couple years.
I think it's one of the things that customers have looked for from both of us is investment protection in the future, right? I mean, resiliency and enterprise feature set, of course. Yeah. Support, natural check, right? But now this idea that investment protection and integration with the hybrid cloud, extremely important for these for customers, right, coming into modern applications.
Yeah. But I want to go back to one thing you said earlier.
Yeah.
Particularly as we're seeing cluster sizes scale,
yes,
the role of the network is becoming more important.
That's true, right?
Because the network is the backbone for these HCI solutions. And as you think about orchestrating across the stack, you really have to look at the network components of that as well.
One of the things we were describing, like how Flash has made it so that for the first time,
storage is not the bottleneck.
Storage latencies are lower than network latencies, right? And so, yes, at scale, actually network configuration up front, best practices, right? And this is another thing that our companies do well together, right? Is make sure that customers are planning up front. They have best practices in place, right? They're ready, right, to go make sure that the systems that they start, even if they start small, we're finding they can scale them and scale them with responsibly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we work together to certify is our HCP advisor actually does the orchestration of the network component as well for that setup and deployment.
Oh, is that right?
So so it really helps simplify and take those problems out because depending on who you look at or read, but 1/3 to 1/4 of the initial deployment challenges tend to be around network.
Yeah.
Because customers don't know what they need, as you mentioned earlier, or they haven't planned enough, or they just sort of overlooked it and said, the network's there, it's ubiquitous, I just plug in.
Right.
But when you're actually relying on it as sort of the backplane for your environment, you need to take some concerns around it.
Great. Well, listen, Colin, it's been a thrill to have you here. Great to just talk storage, HCI, vVols, right? The full gamut, and about how our customers together are working jointly to solve real customer needs. Thank you so much for coming, and we're looking forward to a lot of great partnership together.
No, thanks. Happy to be here. Really enjoy spending time with you, Lee, as you know it. And let's take a selfie.
Always.